The General Hospital recap for Wednesday, July 30th, has Michael Corinthos accusing Drew Kane of ruining the German clinic visit, while Nina Reeves keeps a fresh secret from Willow Tate. Here's how the events unfolded on Wednesday's GH episode. Rocco Falconeri went to Laura Collins' office for help with his parents, specifically Lulu Spencer, because he wanted to communicate with Liesl Albrecht again. Maxie Jones was at the Metro Court pool when Lulu blamed Brooklyn Quartermain for Albrecht's return to Port Charles. Lulu then met with Laura, who said it was a bad mistake to restrict Rocco from Liesl. Instead, Laura believed that Lulu should be more understanding of Rocco's point of view, in order to prevent being shut out. Back at the pool, Kai Taylor confronted Jocelyn Jacks about his betrayal of Trina Robinson, but he maintained his convictions. Meanwhile, Curtis Ashford updated Trina on Drew and Nina's passionate secret that blew up the wedding. Trina was appalled by the news, but she was hesitant to believe it would affect anything in her relationship with Kai. Later in the pool, Kai reiterated his decision to confess to Drew, who was about to be set up for something he did not do. Trina wished Kai had regretted his betrayal, but she concluded that it wouldn't have made a difference and walked off. Nearby, Nina met with Rick Lansing and asked him to continue working on Willow's custody lawsuit. Although Nina wanted to keep her role in hiring Rick a secret, he reminded her that secrets get you in trouble. Willow awoke at Elizabeth Baldwin's house feeling a little better and realized she had made a terrible mistake by coming to Carly Spencer's house the night before. Back with Nina, she caught up with Maxie and warned that Willow might do something horrific. Nina didn't reveal anything about Willow being Daisy Gilmore's stalker, but she did say Willow's secret could ensure she never saw her children again. Drew visited Michael at the Quartermain house and informed him that his relationship with Willow had ended. Drew pressed Michael to let Willow see the kids and settle out of court, but Michael couldn't take the chance after her tantrum last night. Michael also chastised Drew for ruining Willow's visit to the clinic in Germany. Drew didn't have a good poker face, so Michael knew he was correct and lashed out at Drew for spoiling his chance to compromise with Willow. Willow appeared after Drew had departed to reassure Michael that she was now calm and clear-headed. Willow regretted her actions last night, but she argued that things had ended with Drew and hoped Michael would let her see the kids. When Curtis met with Portia Robinson, he encouraged her not to resign because they were so close to achieving their goals. Curtis hoped Drew would leave town and they'd be safe as long as Drew never found out what he told Willow. Drew came at Elizabeth's house shortly after, looking for Willow, but she was not there. Liz met with Drew instead, assuming that he was only doing what he thought was best when he gave Willow the truth. Drew began to realize that Curtis, not Nina, had blown up his wedding. Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Nina conducts a secret operation. Rick acquires a new client. Elizabeth accepts a house guest. Michael faces a major decision, and Curtis debriefs with Trina. In the most recent GH recap, Willow has a meltdown when Michael refuses to let her see the kids. Tracy and Cody celebrate Drew's dump, and Britt hides out in Croatia. Rocco pays Laura a visit at her office. He pleads for her assistance with his parents and mentions that he met Liesl. Laura is stunned. The boy likes her, calling her quirky, and claims that when he saw her with Liesl, his parents turned on him. Laura describes how complicated their relationship with the woman is. They talk about Liesl's past, and Laura believes people can change. Liesl seemed to have done so, although Lulu was not present. She didn't notice the growth. He tells his grandmother a story about him as a child that he had never heard before, and Laura encourages him to tell his parents. It might help. Brooke Lynn tells Maxie at the Metro Court pool that she never meant for Rocco to view Britt's paperwork. Maxie informs her that Liesl is returning. Lulu steps in and accuses her. They repeat their dispute and Lulu lashes out, accusing her of bringing liars and crooks into her son's life. BLQ tells her that she did not tell him anything, arguing that they should have informed their kid the truth. BLQ blames Lulu for the catastrophe. Maxie asks them to quit making allegations. She believes it's natural for Rocco and Liesl to want to see each other. Lulu only sees that she robbed 7 months of her child's life. Lulu answers Laura's call and agrees to come by. She takes off. Kai notices Joss nearby, who tells him she is furious with him, but perhaps now he can see how picking Drew over Trina was a mistake. Kai states he chose his ideals above all else. Joss yells that he will have those values in Drew but no one else. At the tables, Rick inquires as to why Nina wanted to see him. She hopes Rick will assist Willow in obtaining custody of the children. Nina wants him to remain silent about her involvement. He reminds her of how her secrets led them there, which Nina would ponder. Trina pays Curtis a visit at his office. She learns that Willow dumped Drew after discovering Nina had slept with him. They both feel horrible for the people involved. Curtis suggests she talk to Kai and see if he has any regrets regarding Drew. Trina is over him. The trust is gone. Curtis tries to convey that Kai believes he did the right thing. Curtis advises her to avoid burning bridges, and instead contemplate forgiveness. Willow arrives downstairs to Elizabeth's. She sees things more clearly now that she has slept. She realizes that traveling to Carly's was a mistake, as was her friendship with Drew. Liz invites her to remain for a bit, and they discuss Nina's impending confession. Willow admits it seems like Shiloh and Harmony all over again. She vowed she would not let others control her life, but here we are again. She wishes she could have seen things clearly when Drew pursued her. It's called love bombing, Liz explains. Willow realizes she let Drew wreck everything. Nina arrives with some clothing for Willow, and Liz respects the women's privacy. Nina breaks down in tears and admits that she understands how terrible things are. Willow considers what she did horrible. Nina assures her she loves her and is there for her. But Willow doesn't want any of it. She's reclaiming her life. Nina apologizes, but Willow doesn't care. If she had come clean from the start, this would not have happened. She blames both her mother and Drew for losing her children and sends Nina away. Nina asks Rick to assist Willow. Talking to her did not work. Rick comes over later and tells Willow he couldn't get over how unhappy she was last night. He offers to help her get the kids back pro gratis, omitting the fact that Nina is secretly paying him. For now, he says they'll wait until October. Her trustworthiness is no longer in question. Her meltdowns will be referred to as emotional stress, and they will not occur frequently. He insists that Michael would win if the hearing were held tomorrow. They are currently building her case and demonstrating to Michael her ability to obey the rules. By the time he leaves, she's beaming, overwhelmed, and in need of a walk. Drew pays Michael a visit at the Q mansion. He tells him it's done with Willow, but he refuses to give up on her. He prays for grace in his victory. He requests that Willow be allowed to be with her children, but Michael does not believe he can take the chance at this time. Drew offers to beg, but Michael informs him Willow was out of control last night. Drew feels awful. She behaved similarly in court as well. It shook him greatly as well, but he encourages Michael to give her another chance. Michael wonders why he would ever listen to Drew again about anything. Michael suddenly realizes that Drew blocked Willow from seeing him while he was in Germany. He paid them not to let her in. Drew wishes to focus on the future. Willow claims she might have had one if he hadn't messed with things. Drew tries to convince Michael to do the right thing for his children. At JH, Gannon warns Portia about resigning. Her leadership is what has kept him there. They both admit they will miss working together. Back at the pool, Trina watches Kai while Brooklyn thanks Maxie for defending her from Lulu. Maxie sees both sides. Later, BLQ disappears and Nina appears. They talk about the wedding debacle. Maxie claims she told her so. She wonders why she came clean now. Nina suspects Willow of doing something very horrible. If it came up, she would never see her children again. Kai moves closer to Trina. He does not regret what he'd done, which irritates Trina. Even if he did, it wouldn't change things. She cannot get over what he did. She takes off and runs into Joss. Lulu visits Laura in her office and complains about Brooklyn. Laura informs her about Rocco's visit. She worries her child is making a mistake, but Laura believes he is simply curious and has been fine around Liesel. The more she makes it prohibited, the more he will pursue it and keep her out. Lulu finds it difficult to relive that period in her life to satisfy her son's curiosity. Laura understands, but she also knows that every child eventually sees themselves as a flawed human. Nonetheless, Lulu considers her a hero. Laura says she's been through their history and will get through this. Laura encourages Lulu to support Rocco. Portia goes to Curtis and announces her resignation. Curtis does not think it is necessary. As long as Drew does not discover that he told Willow the truth about Nina, they are fine. Rocco discovers Brooklyn at the pool. He praises her for effectively informing him that he had another mother. Willow travels to the Q mansion to apologize to Michael. She tells him she feels as if she is coming up for air. He's glad but sorry it happened the way it did. She defies Rick's request and asks if she can visit the children because she completed his standards. Drew stops by Liz's and begs to see Willow. He realizes she's not there. As they talk about the wedding, Liz accidentally discloses Curtis telling Willow the truth. Drew is shocked and pauses before telling her. He wishes Curtis had not done that. Are you a big General Hospital fan? Join the official General Hospital Facebook group. Get daily spoilers, recaps, fan talk and casting updates in your feed. Michael had been watching and waiting, becoming increasingly suspicious with each passing day. Drew's engagement in Willow's medical appointments had begun to feel strange, and the final straw came when she missed her most important clinic visit to date. Michael didn't want to believe it. Drew was family or had once been close enough to call himself such. But when he retraced the timeline of events, examining every phone contact, delay, and miscommunication, the pieces began to fall into place in an unsettling order. It began quietly. Willow had been following a well-planned schedule, and her checkups were intended to be meticulously coordinated. Drew had offered to assist, portraying himself as a supporting figure with connections and access, only wanting to make things simpler. Initially, Michael had embraced the gesture. He wondered if Drew was trying to mend ties or prove his allegiance. But when Willow missed her clinic appointment, something snapped inside Michael. She had been so optimistic, so focused on this appointment, that missing it was more than just a scheduling error. It was a setback. It wasn't the first time this had happened, but this one was more serious. Michael approached Willow warily that evening, not wanting to disturb her. She already had enough on her plate, and she didn't need another man in her life holding secrets. But while she dismissed the missed appointment, blaming it on traffic and bad timing, Michael couldn't let it go. He knew she didn't want to suspect Drew, and perhaps she never would. But he could no longer ignore what he was witnessing. His conflict with Drew was unplanned. It erupted. They bumped into each other outside the Metro Court, and the instant Michael spotted him, his frustration ignited. You knew how important that visit was, Michael replied, his eyes narrowing and his voice quiet but full of rage. And the one person in charge of logistics just happened to forget to confirm the driver? That is not a coincidence, Drew. Drew's jaw tightened. You're out of line. I don't think I am, Michael replied, stepping in closer. You have been involved in every delay and difficulty. It's as if you're sabotaging her without leaving any evidence. That's crazy. Do you truly believe I would injure Willow? You think I'd jeopardize her health for what, spite? Michael's voice lowered. I believe you desire control. I believe you've been attempting to make yourself indispensable so she looks to you instead of me. And if letting her miss that appointment allowed you more room to intervene, you were eager to take it. Drew was visibly shaken, but Michael refused to back down. He was not only angry, he was also afraid. Willow was fragile, and Michael had spent months doing everything he could to protect her, including standing up against his own family. But Drew was no longer family to him. You've changed, Michael murmured quietly, shaking his head. Since prison. Since you returned. I don't know who you are anymore. Drew didn't respond immediately. The quiet between them was weighty. He eventually admitted, You're right, I did change. I had to. I've survived horrors you can't imagine. And perhaps I'm not who I was before. But I'm not your adversary. You act like one. Willow did not learn about the fight until later. When she did, she attempted to downplay it and make sense of Michael's accusation. Her voice trembled, however, revealing her identity. Perhaps she had her own reservations, which she was unwilling to admit. She wanted to believe the best in each of them. However, she couldn't shake the impression that things weren't going as well as they should have. Appointments changed. Laboratories were absent. Emails remained unread. Initially, she blamed the system. Now she wasn't sure. Michael did not press her for validation. He simply told her that he was going to take over everything from now on: appointments, transportation, and coordination. No more third-party participation. No longer rely on favors. Willow gave him a suspicious look. Do you really think Drew would do that to me? I'm not sure what he's capable of anymore. Michael remarked. But I'm not willing to risk your health for a second chance for him. The aftermath of the incident was not calm for long. Carly learned about it and attempted to intercede, playing peacemaker as usual. She begged Michael to calm down and explore the possibility that Drew had simply made a mistake. But Michael stood firm. Mistakes do not happen like way. Not this many, not regularly, and not when the stakes are this high. Carly appeared conflicted. She didn't want to believe Drew could be that cunning, but she believed Michael's intuition. And she saw how strongly he clung to Willow's safety, how much he had already sacrificed for her. Just don't burn every bridge, Carly stated. Not unless you are certain there is no way back. Michael did not react. In his thoughts, the bridge was already on fire. Meanwhile, Drew was going his own way. The charge wounded deeper than he cared to acknowledge. It wasn't just his pride. It was the sense of isolation he had been experiencing for months. He no longer belonged anyplace. Not really. His relations with the Quartermaines were weakening. His business pursuits were questionable at best. And now the only true link he had, Willow, through their relationship and everything they'd been through, was fading. Worse, it was being used against him. He went to Willow not to argue his point, but to try to explain. I never meant to hurt you, he confessed. And I certainly did not wish to give you any problems. If I did, it wasn't on purpose. Willow studied him closely. But do you understand why it looks the way it does? Drew sighed and ran a hand over his hair. Yeah, I do. And Michael is simply trying to protect me. He's always been like that. I understand. He's always considered me a threat. Willow tilted her head. Were you trying to prove anything? By aiding me? Drew looked aside. I do not know. Maybe I simply needed to feel useful again. The vulnerability in his response moved her. However, it did not remove the repercussions. Whether intended or not, his involvement made her path more difficult. In a world where every decision was critical and time could mean the difference between life and death, there was no space for ambiguity. So she kindly but firmly informed him that Michael would handle things from now on. She needed to simplify her circle of trust. Drew did not argue. He simply nodded and walked away slowly, shoulders heavier than when he arrived. But the devastation did not stop there. The ripple effect reached Jason, who had only recently returned and was looking for common ground with the people he used to know. He couldn't help but feel nervous as he watched Michael and Drew's conflict worsen. He had his own difficulties with Drew, but he also understood how deadly it was when the Quartermaines turned against each other. And then there was Nina, who remained on the outskirts of Willow's existence. She overheard whispers about what had transpired and couldn't resist introducing herself under the appearance of concern. She asked Willow if she needed help finding someone else to coordinate with, whether she'd like a neutral person to come in. Willow declined, but Michael noticed. He saw what Nina was attempting to do, fill the void Drew had left, all in the name of help. He warned her once, quietly but clearly. We do not require your version of support. Nina pretended to be hurt, but Michael remained calm. His concentration was razor acute now. No distractions. There was no manipulation. Willow was finally improving, and he would not let anyone, Drew, Nina, or anyone else, derail his development again. Behind closed doors, Michael struggled with his own guilt. He did not want to be the man who kept shutting people out. But he'd learned the hard way that trust comes at a cost. In Willow's situation, the price was too great to risk. He had to be cruel to defend her, even if it meant losing those who once mattered. Even if this meant standing alone. But Willow noticed him. She noticed the weight he carried and how he never let it show. She threw her arms around him that night, when they were finally alone, and whispered, I trust you. She believed him. That was enough for now. Still, as Michael gazed out into the night, seeing the lights of Port Charles flicker in the distance, he couldn't shake the suspicion that something deeper was at work. Maybe Drew didn't act alone. Perhaps this was part of something larger. And just maybe the sabotage was merely the beginning. General Hospital spoilers are here for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Fans can expect Carly Spencer to warm up to Jocelyn Jacks. Emma Scorpio Drake confides in Gio Palmieri. Jason Morgan also asks Elizabeth Baldwin for a favor. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap show. Willow Tate's vow. Let us begin with Willow Tate, who has awoken the day after her disastrous wedding to Drew Kane. The bride is currently residing with Liz while she decides what to do next. Liz and Rick Lansing are already concerned that Willow is still not thinking clearly. Read more. Find out what happened on the last episode of General Hospital. Willow attempted to visit Carly and Michael Corinthos to see her children. The bride arrived in her bridal gown, reeling mentally. She was not fit to be around her young children, as her actions would have horrified and bewildered them. Willow realizes that arriving to their place was a mistake. Willow, on the other hand, is determined to reunite with her children and makes a commitment. Carly expresses her concerns to Jocelyn Jax after their discovery. At first, I assumed this was about Willow turning up on the night of her non-wedding, almost frightening Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Carly could be anxious about what Willow would do next. However, the promo clip reveals that it is actually about Vaughn. Carly informs her kid that Vaughn isn't worth her time. General Hospital teasers for tomorrow's episode state that Jason will ask Liz for a favor. This could be about Britt Westbourne, who Jason cannot get out of his mind. The right-hand man is convinced it was Britt he saw at the airport. Even though Jason is aware that Britt has died, he was also dead at one time. So Jason's favor most likely involves Liz searching into Britt's death records or something similar. Fans may also expect Emma to open up to Gio in the upcoming episode, which airs on Thursday, July 31st, 2025. In addition, Dante Falconeri talks to Anna Devane about something personal. The commissioner sees Emma as getting herself into a horrible situation. Curtis Ashford tries to make a deal with Drew. Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing on Thursday, July 31st, 2025? General Hospital spoilers for the week of August 4th reveal some significant surprises. Fans may expect Jason Morgan to continue his search for answers. This could lead to him pursuing a clue concerning Britt Westbourne's whereabouts. Emma Scorpio Drake and Gio Palmieri could face danger. Drew Kane may also have leverage over Willow Tate. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap show. Chasing Britt Westbourne. Let us start with Jason's mission. The right-hand man is confident that the woman he saw at the airport is Britt. He discussed it with Carly Spencer, then Liesl Albrecht. After investigating the Five Poppies clue and receiving a favor from Elizabeth Liz Baldwin, Jason will board an aircraft. Meanwhile, if Britt fails to provide a satisfactory progress report to their supervisor, Professor Henry Hank Dalton may face additional challenges. Jocelyn Jax investigation. This will lead Vaughn and Jocelyn Jax to continue their investigation. However, this also entails continuing to pretend to be a couple in public. Meanwhile, Jocelyn will have to take Carly Spencer's lectures. Jack Brennan cautioned Joss that faking romances may be tough. However, the blonde assured the employer that no actual feelings were involved. Famous last words. Joss. Emma Scorpio Drake's danger. General Hospital spoilers for the week of August 4th indicate that Emma and Gio will most likely sneak into the facility. Emma informed Gio that she had a master key. However, Anna Devane is concerned that Emma is getting herself into a horrible situation. Fans will also watch Jen Sidwell and Marco Rios plotting their retribution during the week of August 4th, 2025. Ava Jerome could try to move closer to Cody Bell. Christina Corinthos Davis murmured into Molly Lansing Davis's ear. Molly now has the wrong idea about the horseman. There's also Willow, who has sworn off Drew. Drew appears to have some leverage, though. Drew noticed Willow was gaslighting Sasha Gilmore Corinthos about her new daughter, Daisy Gilmore Corinthos. Drew never confronted Willow about this. With that confident grin during Curtis Ashford's ultimatum, could Drew force Willow to marry him? Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing in the week of August 4th, 2025? Share your opinions in the comments area below. Keep watching ABC soap operas to find out what happens next. Emma paced nervously across the quiet rooftop of the Quartermain home, holding her phone tightly in her palm. She had repeatedly replayed the talk with her father. He asked her whether she was hiding anything from him, and she lied. It wasn't because she intended to deceive anyone, especially him, but because she was afraid of what the truth may reveal. The secret she carried was not hers alone. It belonged to someone else, someone who had once sworn her silence. And now, with the walls closing in, Emma felt the weight of that vow pressing even harder than before. Drew was in the study, sipping bourbon and staring at the flickering fire. Revenge had never been his thing. He'd spent years striving to be a better guy, to rise above his opponent's tactics, but this time seemed different.